Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Crowd Chatter podcast. It's been a while. We've been out for a while, of course. Holidays, just obviously being busy. Of course, always happens. Um, so it's been a couple weeks, and obviously a lot has happened. We're already to championship week for college football. And dang, that last week, I mean, I did say, that we were not going to miss rivalry weekend, that we were going to make sure to get that video in. But like I said, holidays came up, busyness came up, work came up. And so, it is what it is. Not really, obviously, we all just got busy. So, sorry about that. But today we have picks for college football. I only have mine. I'll have to put in Serbenski's later. But the first game that we have is actually, I think, going right now, which is Akron at Buffalo. I think this was a rescheduled game from some point this year. I threw it in there because, we don't have a lot of games this week. Uh, so I'll just take Buffalo because I don't know who else to take. And next game is a neutral site game, of course, the infamous rivalry of Navy and Army. Now, this is next weekend, but I don't feel like making the whole video just about Navy Army. So I just threw it on this weekend, and I'll just record it when it happens. But both of these teams are unspecial this year. Army is the one who has a chance at going to a bowl game. I think Navy's won the past few matchups. Um, don't really know much about either team. I'll just take Army to take Army. I don't. I mean, Army. It's a 50-50, but I'll take the team with a little bit of a better record. So now we get on to the championship games, and first one we have is the CUSA of North Texas at UTSA. Now this is one of those now this conference, along with a few others on here, lets the team with the better record and better conference record host the championship game. So UTSA is home for this one. I think their home field is the Alamo Dome. So Alamo Dome. Now I said it right. But UTSA is home against the Mean Green. Uh, should be a decent game, but I'm guessing I'm going UTSA, better record. Once again, honestly, really good season for them, and I mean they'll probably do it again. I think they won last season. They'll win it again this season. So give me UTSA. And then we have the MAC championship, which will actually be happening right here in Detroit, which is Toledo and Ohio. So, yeah, this is a neutral site game. Ohio does not get to host this. This is at Ford Field. Um, I know nothing about either team. I do know Toledo, though, has been good, has had some good years in the MAC. Like I said, I don't know anything about either one of these teams, but I don't know. I guess I'll go with Toledo more just because Ohio nearly beat the Michigan basketball team a couple of weeks ago. So not a big fan of the Bobcat. I'm just kidding. I'm just taking Toledo. Take Toledo. Then now we have the Sun Belt Championship game of Coastal Carolina at Troy once again. Troy is the host of this game. It's not a neutral site, so Troy 10-2 will host the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina, who are 9-2 because the game against Virginia was canceled due to, of course, the big time shooting in Charlottesville. All of our hearts here go with those who were affected by that tragedy. The Sun Belt Championship game here. This is once again in kind of a situation where I don't really know much about either team. I've seen Coastal. I know a little bit about Coastal, but nothing about Troy. But I guess I'll go with the home team here. Coastal nearly lost to an App State team who is 6-6, so I guess I'll just take Coastal Carolina. And here's where where I actually know a little bit more about both teams. Now we have the Mountain West Championship game, which is Fresno State at Boise State. Once again, the Boise State is the host here. They are the home team, so yes, it's on the blue field. This should be a decent game. I mean, Boise State's got a solid team. Fresno State, I have no idea how in the heck they're in this game. I mean, UConn is actually a bowl game. Is actually going to be in a bowl game this year, but they lost to UConn. You don't lose to UConn. And like I said, yeah, they're in a bowl game this year, but that still doesn't mean that uh, Fresno's any good or UConn's any good. But this should be a decent game. Fresno State obviously has a really good quarterback in Jake Hayner. I believe he's still healthy, but good quarterback for Fresno. As for and they're always a solid team. As for Boise State, they got a solid team as well. I think both of these teams are pretty good. Both of them actually, I think, played Oregon State. And I'm pretty sure both of them actually ended up losing. So I like both of these squads. I'll take Boise though. Something about that. There's something about that blue field that it always just seems to go in favor of the Broncos. So I'll take Boise State to win at home. And then next we have the ACC championship game. Of course, I know a little bit more about both of these teams. So we have number 23 North Carolina playing number 9 Clemson. This is a neutral site game. I believe this one, of course, I mean obviously all of the Power 5 conferences that play neutral site games. But I'm pretty sure that this game is played at the Panthers Stadium, Bank of America, I think, or something like that. But this is at the Panthers home field, in North Carolina, actually in North Carolina. So this is more kind of a home game for the Tar Heels. But this is a big game. Because Tar Heels having a really good season this year, shockingly, 9-3. Drake May's been unbelievable for the Tar Heels. Clemson, after a disappointing loss last week, has knocked themselves out of playoff contention. I really sincerely think they don't have any shot anymore. They did if they had beaten South Carolina. They would be right in the middle of the conversation. Heck, they might be. I think if they had beaten South Carolina last week, they would be right in the middle of the conversation, probably ahead of Bama. Bama wouldn't even be considered at that point because they'd probably be number 7. Clemson would be 6. And they would be a one-loss team, with their one loss being a Notre Dame, who looks pretty good right now. But now they're a 2-loss team, and even if they were to win this game, I still don't think Clemson has enough. I still think they'll win this game because North Carolina, they're a solid team. Their offense is really good, but that defense for North Carolina, that defense is scary. So it's not good. But I'll take Clemson in this one. They've dominated the ACC for quite a while. Obviously, they did not win it last year with Wake Forest beating them out to the championship game and then losing to Pitt. But this Clemson team, I mean, it's been inconsistent. Obviously, it hasn't played well. But this is a North Carolina team that A, has benefited from a pretty weak Coastal, and B, just is not really good defensively. I think they'll score. I think they'll certainly put up points, but I think Clemson will be able to outscore them in this one. I think Will Shipley will have himself a really good day and carry him to the win. And then next is the Big Ten championship game, with Purdue being the one ending up coming out of the Big Ten West, which was a mess all year long. But after they beat Indiana, the Boilermakers secured their spot in the championship game, and they would play, of course, the Wolverines after a unbelievable win in Columbus against Ohio State. Outstanding win for Michigan. Honestly, I think they might pretty much just be secured their spot. They might have secured their spot into the playoff just by beating Ohio State. I seriously think that they'll easily be in, even if they were to lose this game, which I don't think they will. It's interesting because Purdue is a very good team, oddly enough, as an unranked team against a ranked team. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but this Purdue team, in their last 3 games, well, actually, forget last 3 games, with their current head coach, Jeff Brom, Purdue is undefeated against top 5 teams, or not top 5, top 3 teams as an unranked team. How that makes any sense, I don't really know, but this Purdue team, Purdue has a good offense. Aiden O'Connell, he is at home. I think it was if I remember the article correctly, it was his brother who passed away recently, so he went back home to visit with family. Heart goes out to you, Aiden. I wish your family the best. But this Purdue team, Aiden O'Connell has been pretty solid at QB, and really the story of their team has been their offense. Their defense is okay. It's average. It's nowhere near as good as as a defense like Illinois, Iowa, or Minnesota's. As all of their defenses have been unbelievable this season. But this Purdue team is the worst defense of them all, but certainly has, I think, the best offense with Aiden O'Connell and a good passing game. I don't know if O'Connell's back with the team yet. I don't know if he's still with his family or if he has returned to the team for practice. I think he's expected to play Saturday, so I mean, I think he'll likely be there, but. Now, as for the Wolverines, it's not like they don't have concerns either, as obviously news came out of Blake Corum being out for the season as he's getting knee surgery. So we'll have to see how Michigan adjusts to life without Corum. Obviously, we got Donovan Edwards, though, so that is a really good number 2 running back. So we'll have to see, and he's hurt too. I mean, Edwards obviously looked like he had a big old club on his hand playing against Ohio State. He still ran for like 200 yards and 275 plus yard touchdowns, But we'll have to see what it looks like in the Big Ten championship game without having Corum. Of course, we bombed Ohio State without Corum, but can we continue to do that? That will remain to be seen, but. This will be a big tell for what the Wolverines will look like come the CFP, as that's likely where they will be going. And we go to the other team who has already secured their spot in the playoff, in my opinion, too, and that is the Georgia Bulldogs, who will be playing in the SEC championship game. Against number 14 LSU, who, if they had won last week, would still also be in the conversation, but they lost to Texas A&M, which gives them now 3 losses on the year. They drop all the way to 14 and really have taken themselves out of the conversation. So I think this will be a decent game because it depends on what LSU you get, because I have seen a lot of the LSU Tigers, and I have seen LSU look really good. They look like a, top 10, top 5 team. They look like they're capable of beating almost anyone. But I've also seen an LSU, and their 3 losses where it looks like they can lose to anybody. So, so really the big thing is the consistency for the Tigers. Which LSU shows up? Is the LSU that lost 3 games going to show up, or the one that won 9 games? So they're a good team. They have some really good players on that LSU squad, but they're really gonna. But if they're gonna beat Georgia, they gotta play their best, and I don't really know if they're gonna do that. I think Georgia will come in. It's not gonna be a blowout by any stretch. I think LSU will make it competitive, but I got the Bulldogs winning this one. Now we go to the American Championship game, or also considered the AAC. I just say American because AAC and ACC are too close. And we have number 22 UCF on the road taking on number 18 Tulane, who has had an unbelievable turnaround from just a year ago. Tulane last year, I believe, was a 2-10 team, and now if you can see that record now. Flip the numbers, and that's their record now. So, unbelievable season for the Tulane Green Wave. Of course, beating Cincinnati. Excuse me. Beating Cincinnati on Black Friday, on the road, giving them a chance of hosting this game against the UCF Golden Knights, who are 9-3. This is a solid UCF team. This is actually a rematch from a couple weeks ago. Which was actually also at Tulane. UCF getting that win 38-31, if I'm correct. I think this will be a solid game. Tulane has shown they have a solid team. They have a bit of a stingy defense, and they also have a Really good passing game. They have a really solid overall team. Tulane has actually beaten Kansas State this year, right down there. Um, I'm gonna go with Tulane in the rematch here. I think Tulane learned from their loss to UCF last time when they also were at home, and now they get a rematch against UCF at home. I've seen this UCF team play some really bad games. Honestly, I think this UCF team could be capable of having an undefeated year this year if they hadn't flubbed away their 3 games this year. I mean, two of their losses, I forget what one of them is, but two of their losses, I mean, they lost to Louisville where they had 30 opportunities to put them away and win the game at home, never did, and then somehow lost to Navy at home like 2 weeks ago. So they've really been wildly and then they nearly lost to USF last week. So this UCF team is good. They definitely have talent there in Orlando. UCF solid squad, but they're just too inconsistent for my liking, kind of like LSU. And so I'll take Tulane to uh, get themselves a championship game, as many people probably would not expect. And then we have, of course, the biggest 2 games of this week. Of course, I saved the best one for last year, but we'll start with this one, the Big 12 championship game, which will be played at Jerry's World with Kansas State playing TCU. Rematch of these two from earlier in the year when TCU at home was down 18, made a miraculous comeback to take down the Wildcats and continue their undefeated season all the way until now, where they get to play the Wildcats yet again. This one in the Big 12 championship game. This Kansas State team, honestly, I don't really like it that much, but they've actually taken out Adrian Martinez. He's not the starting QB. They replaced him with Will Howard, and he's looked actually really good. He's played pretty well for Kansas State. They also have a good running back in Deuce Vaughn. This TCU defense really scares me at times. It doesn't really, they don't impress me. They've been very unspecial, very scary. They've struggled mightily. Of course, TCU blowing out Iowa State in the last game of the season. The week before, though, having a scare with the Baylor Bears, and then of course before that, getting a good win against Texas. So this TCU team has certainly been battle tested as it's come down to the wire as it did against Baylor and Waco. But this is going to be a good game. I think Kansas State is really going to give TCU kind of like the last time. I mean, TCU made the miraculous comeback. I don't think this is going to be necessarily that kind of a story again, but I think this has come down to the wire. TCU's been in this situation many times, so I think Kansas State could definitely win this game, and I think they very well could knock off TCU, but I'm going to take the Horned Frogs in this one. Kansas State's not they're a solid team, and their offense is solid. Their defense is kind of unspecial. I just think TCU is a bit of a better team. Kansas State has certainly had an outstanding year and has really been playing his best football in recent weeks. But I really like TCU's team. I like their offense. I don't like their defense, but I like their offense. With Quentin Johnson, a good running game, Max Duggan. I think it'll be a shootout. I think defense is not really going to be present in this game. I expect a lot of scoring, but I'll take TCU to win a close one here. I think it's going to be really fun. Definitely one to see at noon on, I believe, ABC. But this will be a really good game. So give me TCU to get a nice win in Dallas and secure their spot in the playoff. And of course, the only other spot that's really available is in the Pac-12, and that is Utah Utah and USC. Once again, a rematch of weeks ago. USC's only loss coming to this Utah team on the road in Salt Lake City. I believe that's where Utah is. But this is going to be a really good game. Of course, that game is actually tonight, so really good one for you guys all to see. I think this is going to be a fantastic game. Obviously, the last time these two played, when it was in Salt Lake City, it was an absolute shootout. No defense was present in that game. But the big thing in that game was the fact that Utah, as far as I remember, Utah did not turn the ball over. And if you guys know anything about about USC, is their defense is absolutely terrible. It is not good. But the one thing that has kept the USC defense alive all season long has been the fact that they can cause a million turnovers. I believe they're one of the top teams in the country, actually, in causing turnovers. So, as much as their defense gives up an enormous amount of points, an enormous amount of yards, because they cause so many turnovers, they still give their offense ample opportunities to get down the field, keep scoring, and that's how they win shootouts. But will they do that today or tonight against Utah? That remains to be seen. This is a huge game for USC, of course, and Coach Lincoln Riley, he's led Oklahoma to the fourth spot many times, and he was head coach over at OU in Norman, and now here in LA with USC, has another opportunity to secure a spot in the playoff. If he wins tonight, they are in. They will be in, and there will be no conversation about taking USC out. Really, for USC, it's either win and you're in. It's win or go home. There you go. That's what I'm coming up with. That's what I need to come up with. For USC, it's win or go home. For Utah, it's just supposed to win the Pac-12 championship and blow the Pac-12's chances of making it yet again. I could see either one of these teams winning this game. I think it's going to be really close yet again. But USC, I think it's gets revenge. They lost a month or two ago to this team on the road, but now when it really counts and everything's on the line, I think they get revenge and pull out the win here. It's going to be really good. It's going to be a very close one once again, just like the not Pac-12, just like the Big 12 championship game. I'm expecting this to be an absolute shootout, but give me the Trojans. Gonna be a big one. Caleb Williams, I think, continues his quest for the Heisman Trophy, and well, it might be his already, but I think he just secures he locks himself in as a Heisman Trophy winner in this game as he gets the win and carries his team to the CFP, knocking off Utah. And that's it for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Next up, I got some other videos to get done, and I need to get it done fast. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. We'll be coming back with all the bowl games, of course, which, dear Lord, those will take forever because of how many there are. So we'll get to those when they announce them, and then we'll end up picking them. I think they'll probably be next week because I think they're supposed to announce them on Sunday. So that'll be it for me. Until next time, adios, everyone.